Hey everybody, welcome to episode 46, I believe, of This Disc is Great with Steve and Nate. So we had a last minute customer rush. Usually we're pretty slow in the store, but we had like 8 people come in right at 5. Did we lock that door? That's another good question.
I don't believe we have.
All right, so we might have some more customers pop on in. Hey, Emily's going to lock the door for us. But yeah, sorry for the little bit of a wait there, but we are here to review the Latitude 64 Ballista Pro. Thank you. Also, we are going to be giving away a bunch of stuff throughout the video. As always, we will give away the special edition Burst Ballista Pro to whoever guesses the farthest backhand throw. And then for some other comments, funny questions, somebody's going to win this disc member trimmer, and someone else will win this first run Ballista Pro. So if you haven't seen our show before, what we do is we take new release discs out to a field, chuck them a bunch of times, then we let you guys know how they fly, so that we can, so that we know what we're talking about when customers ask us questions in store, and B, you guys can see if it's a disc that's right for you. Before we get to the review, let's do our weekly disc member announcement. Steve, what do we have coming up in May's disc member?
So, May disc member, we've got the usual, you get in the U-Disc subscription, the Pro version, when you're a disc member. We've got some wristbands, we got a keychain, we've got a microfiber towel, and we've got a new disc from Discmania.
We are still waiting for, I know what the disc is, but I'm still waiting for Discmania to tell me it's okay to tell you what the disc is. So hopefully, I need to email him tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to announce it soon. But it's going to be sweet, and that is the stamp that's on it, and it's going to look pretty sweet on the disc we're getting. Trust me. What about the ultimate package, Steve?
So we're doing some pocket shorts. So we're going to have obviously a cool design like every month. We've got some sweet sunglasses. I know every time we have them at the store, they sell like hotcakes. Then we've got some stickers, and they also will be getting the Pro subscription to UDisc.
And those are also Puma socks. So we're getting some Puma socks in there as well. And the sunglasses are like dark gray wood grain, and they're pretty sweet. So I'm excited for those. The other disc member thing we need to mention is the raffle. We haven't announced the raffle stuff yet because we were still working on some stuff from Prodigy. So our giveaways for this month, which is April, not May, but close enough. So Prodigy is sending us a T2, which is one of their brand new baskets they haven't released yet, and 2 BP2s. We're throwing in 2 Grow the Sport baskets and a handful of discs. So why don't you, Steve, how do they get in the raffle if they haven't gotten in yet?
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. You got a hashtag disc member, hashtag disc store. That will get you in the drawing, and you have a chance by the 15th. You have to have it in by the 15th, and although that's a Sunday, right?
Yeah, 15th is Sunday, so we're not drawing until the 16th because I don't want to work on Sunday any more than I have to.
You guys will be more aware on Monday anyway.
But yeah, again, you can do that on all 3 platforms for a total of 3 entries. Hashtag disc store, and then hashtag disc member, and then tag disc store using the @ symbol, and then you're good to go. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the review here. We've got, again, the Ballista Pro, which is a new driver from Latitude 64. Came out at the same time as the Explorer that we did a couple weeks ago. And when Latitude 64 releases a disc that has the Pro word on it, that means this disc already existed and they made it more overstable.
Yep.
So the River Pro and the Saint Pro are both more overstable versions of the River and the Saint. So this is a more overstable version of the Ballista. So Steve, why don't you tell us a little bit about the disc?
All right. With the speed of 14, glide 4. It's got a turn of 0 and a fade of 3. Ballista Pro is the big brother of the Ballista with added stability for more experienced players. It's a perfect solution if you're looking for a distance driver you can navigate through tight fairways. With great combination of speed, stability, and glide, it's the perfect tool for all kinds of distance shots.
So yeah, that sounds like the, what are the numbers again on that, Steve, just real quick?
We've got 14, 4, 0, and 3.
Do you know what the numbers for the original Ballista were off the top of your head?
I thought it was like I feel like 14 is still the same speed, but then they had like a 5 glide and probably a -2 at least, and then maybe a 2, 3.
So the original numbers were 14.5, -1, 4, but they went back and adjusted that, and I honestly don't remember what the adjustment was. I think it was -2, 3 is what I think it is. So the original Ballista is kind of Shrike-ish, very, very similar to a Shrike, maybe just probably closer to a Star Strike than a Champ Strike, so it's got a little bit more unpredictability to it sometimes.
Unpredictable.
It'll just, sometimes, I threw ballistas, before the Strike came out, I threw a lot of ballistas, and sometimes they would just turn more than you wanted. But the Ballista Pro should be the more stable version of that, and we shall see. So I think we're ready to go ahead and get into some videos here and check out how it flew for us.
Who's first?
I'm going to guess
Pick
Steve.
me, pick me.
Again, get your guesses in for farthest backhand and you'll win something.
Thank you, Evan. Standard tradition, as Steve does, he throws the hyzer. 345 with a really fast disc. I probably left that a little too high. It wasn't the biggest power shot, but hey, I'm at least making it at 345. I'm more than happy with that.
And there's still snow on the ground in this shot, so we weren't quite as warmed up and ready to go as we will be on our next set of videos.
That was cold.
But that's a nice big wide hyzer, but the important thing is that's not flipping up on you.
Yeah.
You see the same kind of thing here. Throw it on that big wide hyzer, it holds that, and just glides right on out. Gets a big old skip at the end because it's nice and wide rim. 335, that's a little shorter than I really wanted that to go. But same kind of a thing, just big, wide hyzer, holding that angle, not flipping up, which is the important thing. Well, let's take a look at some more. You're good.
That was deceptively on hyzer, but otherwise that flipped up really nicely.
Flipped up a little bit, it got a little straight.
So, I really like that this is not turning. Like, my Shrike, the original Ballista, would definitely flip up to flat from this throw. And it's really a nice swooping hyzer. It's not hitting the ground in a spike, even from that angle. 363, I'd probably
see if we can do a little better.
I'm hoping to get a little less high, to maybe flatter. I don't know, we'll try. There's flat.
There's a little flatter. This is that windy day that we threw, so a little bit of bouncing going on. I expected the wind to flip that a little more, but it didn't, which is kind of what you want a Ballista Pro to not do.
Yeah.
So, pretty solid again. It held that. I threw it just a little bit on hyzer. It held that through the whole thing, through the wind bounces. Faded out really consistently. 366. I want a little more than that out of it, but we'll see if we can actually get some nice power shots here. So almost the same angle. The wind definitely messing with that. You can see that the wind was getting to it a little bit. So 396. That's more what I want to see out of this disc. For a 14-speed max distance driver that this is supposed to be, I want to be able to put it 400-ish at least. So that's a little bit more. It's not flipping and turning a whole lot. It did a little bit there with that wind bounce, but still reliably fading out at the end. And how would you say that, stability-wise, the plastics compared to each other?
With all of the new release stuff that I've personally thrown, the special edition burst stuff has been less overstable for me.
Absolutely, I would 100% agree. Now, there's going to be weight differences. Like, these are both. This one's 173. This one's 175. So as heavy as we could get. Dominess and things are going to affect that. But in general, these Flexi special edition burst stuff is a touch less stable.
Yeah.
So it got a little bit more flip and a little bit more carry, and this faded a little harder for us. But let's check out some more throws here. See, that's the same burst one for you, and this is that windy day, and you're having to fight that a lot more.
Dude, I almost hit that guy. It was awesome.
Yeah, we let those guys play through while we were throwing. So he's like, I think they're far enough.
Yeah.
And they weren't. But you threw that into a pretty stiff headwind.
That was a very stiff headwind.
So it turned probably 15-ish miles an hour, maybe 20. Probably about, I'm going to guess 15. So that flipped and turned, but it still came back at the end. That's still some really reliable fade at the end. Your strike is probably in the yard if you threw it in that exact same throw.
I would agree.
But yeah, so the wind definitely affected it a little bit, but you were able to throw this into that headwind pretty confidently and still get all that distance out of it.
That's kind of my spot. Both the Mystere shot that went 430 was in that same kind of alley along the trees.
It was in the trees for sure. All right, we got a couple more backhands here. We're on the forehands yet. All right, there we go. So a nice flat shot. Again, holding it, and it's hyzering out. They got a little high on me. 375. I mean, that's again for that day when we weren't on our game the most. That's a pretty decent shot with that. And again, threw it flat. It held that, so 0 turns holding it, and then that 3 fade really consistently crashing out. Kind of exactly what you want to see out of that. A little farther when I have a little bit more. All right, so here's it on a little bit of an anhyzer line. Nice big swooping anhyzer. So even though I'm turning it over, it held that for a while, but then it came right back out, solidly faded out. I throw a regular Ballista on that angle, and it's just going to hold it and maybe glide out at the end, but it's not going to come back that hard. So this is definitely more overstable than the Ballista, definitely more reliable, definitely more consistent. But you've got to rip it a little harder than the original.
Yeah, you
Ballista
definitely
to
can't.
get the-
You can't just go at it half. Can't go halfway. That looked like a flick.
Was that a Steve flick?
Is that a flick? It was almost at a head, so it seemed like it would be a flick. I actually like this disc for the flick. Even though I spent a lot of the time throwing it into a headwind, I could at least throw it flat and know that it's. At least I'm not trying to throw it at full power to a certain extent, but from flat, stays flat, hyzes out. I felt completely comfortable trusting that to at least 250 kind of distance. Which that's all I really need when I'm throwing my flip.
For sure. All right, Reeser, there you go. I like this disc as a flick disc too. It's got the right amount of stability for me as far as what I'm looking for out of my flick shots. So I can rip on it hard and flat, and it doesn't flip too much on me, and it's going to have that reliable fade. I'm not burning it out.
And you don't have to throw it like this, like your defenders.
Yeah, not as much. Depends on the defender. The beat-in ones are starting to get nice and straight for me. But yeah, so I can crank on this full power. I mean, my flick is, well, I'd say my flick is max. I would say my flick usually maxes out around 320. But if you go watch the Cottonwood Falls GBO preview video that's up on YouTube right now, I definitely park a 350-foot hole with the sidearm. So go check that video out. We're pretty excited about it.
In front of EMAC.
Me, Eric McCabe, and Denise Cameron are in that round, and Robert McCall helped us out with the commentary. We'll link that in the comments.
You got it. It's a good video.
It's a fun watch. All right, let's go ahead and check out this next sidearm shot. This is the little bit flippier one, so I put a little more angle on it. Got that flip up, but still hyzered out really solidly. 311. There you go. Apparently that's how far I can flick a Ballista Pro. So again, really, both of these, even though slightly more flippy one, really reliable. I can rip on it full power, and this is again into that headwind. So really solidly reliable. The wind's kind of bouncing it, making the flight line look funny. But other than that, it's kind of what I want out of a sidearm disc, especially max distance. I think we got a couple more here. Apparently, I really like this disc forehand. All of my shots. So you can definitely see the wind messing with that one. This flipped more because of the wind, which got me a little extra distance. But you still see how even in that wind, it's reliably crashing out. A Shrike or original Ballista, had it started to turn like that, it would have kept turning and it would not have come back. So even in a headwind, this is a pretty, unless you're like a super mash arm like Eagle or Simon or maybe Germ with this sidearm, unless you're super mashing it ridiculous hard, it's going to have some pretty reliable fade for you, even into the wind. Run, Steve, run! And
I was surprised this one even came out. I felt like the whole day I felt really just been getting dirty releases out of the hand, but to get 300 flick, I haven't tried to throw a flick that far, and up to that point for a while, I was very impressed that it.
Yeah.
And that's basically a straight line when you look at it outside of the camera angle. I was super happy with
And
that.
you definitely rolled your wrist on that one pretty hard,
Yeah.
which is going to cause a lot of turning and burning, but
Yeah.
this handled it, flexed out, exactly what you want for a max distance sidearm. All right, so that's everything. So Steve, Steve, the numbers were 14,403, like the screen says
Yes,
there.
they
How do you feel about those numbers? Because generally we like to argue with Latitude's numbering
Yeah.
system a lot.
Yeah.
How do we feel about those numbers for this disc?
Well, they changed their numbers. They kind of did that revamp before these came out, right? Mm-hmm. So had this been even if they put this disc out before they changed the numbers and the numbers were the same, I would say the numbers are the same. I like the numbers on this disc. I thought they were true, and I wouldn't change the numbers on the disc.
Yeah, I think it's pretty darn close. I mean, the 4 glide versus the 5, it's not as glidey as the original Ballista.
No.
It's wanting to fall out of the sky a little quicker. And the 0 turn, I think I agree with, and a 3 fade is pretty solid. I mean, I might give this like half a turn with the burst one, but that's a plastic difference more so than anything. But this is, I know that a lot of the Trilogy Pro players are loving this disc. They are super excited about this disc. They're throwing it all over the place. I know AJ Risley was bombing the crap out of it. I watched Eric McCabe throw some bombs with it in that Cottonwood Falls preview video. But they're all ripping this and loving it. It's really kind of their PD2 destroyer kind of a disc that kind of fits in there for that slot for a lot of those new guys. But yeah, so I think the numbers are solid. For a player like me, it's probably not going to be the disc I'm going to get my maximum max distance with. It's probably just a touch overstable for that for me. And it's not quite as overstable as, say, my Defenders. So it kind of, for me, in my bag, it would kind of fit in an awkward spot in between my Strikes and my Defenders that I don't know how often I would pull it out when I wouldn't just rather use one of those. Yeah. But it's a really solid disc. I mean, if I had to use it, I could definitely do some great work with it. And yeah, for someone who's got a little bit more power, than me or Steve, it's going to be a great max distance driver. For someone who has a little less power than me and Steve, it's going to be a great overstable driver for you. So if you've got a little less power than Steve and I do, it might fit that slot that my Defender does for you. So it's got some definitely great uses for lots of different players. Probably not for a lot of beginners because it is so wide rimmed and it just teaches you bad habits and makes you have to do things that don't teach good form. But for any kind of advanced player, you can find a reason to bag this disc. Do we have a winner for the farthest throw giveaway? So Steve got it this week with 401 with I think it was with the burst one. So who's winning the burst one?
All right, there's a little discrepancy. We had a correct guess, but it was after we showed the video.
Okay.
Sean Grew, he guessed it. However, who guessed the closest without going over prior to us showing the longest one was...
Sean's won a bunch of stuff anyway. It's okay.
Let's see.
At least he's a good guesser.
White guessed 400.
Stephen White?
Yes.
Boom. You get this special edition Ballista Pro. All right, before we get out of here, we want to try to tackle some of your questions. Evan, why don't you go ahead and grab us a few and then randomly choose 2 of them to give stuff away to.
Tax News doesn't know any word on next month's disc, but we can remind them what it is.
It is definitely a Discmania disc. It is definitely something that they have not released before. And it definitely has that stamp on it, and it's definitely, I know it's going to look cool with that stamp. And there's definitely some people who have been guessing on Discmember who are right about the mold and who are right about the plastic. No one has guessed the mold and the plastic. But they're just waiting to... Discmania wants to wait until they have the discs in their hands from Innova before that they let us confirm it 100% for sure.
Makes sense.
So I will let you know as soon as the Discmania guy lets me know. But it's going to be a good disc. You're going to like it. And then you're getting the sweet towel, some wristbands, and a keychain. Well, not some, a wristband and a keychain. But a pretty sweet Discmania pack. They're pretty excited about it. We're pretty excited about it. I think for June, if you guys want to know, I've confirmed that we're doing dynamic again. Don't have a lot of details I can give you on the package yet, but it's going to be it's going to be a disc that Dynamic hasn't released yet. So that I can tell you.
That's my favorite part.
All right, what other questions we got in there, Reeser?
Kyle Forrest wants to know, you guys ever try one of them 360 throws? Is there an advantage to doing that?
If you practice it enough that it actually gets a throw farther and accurate for the toss that you want, then go ahead and do it. But I've never had any success in getting a farther throw from doing it, so I don't even try.
If you properly do it, it is going to generate more spin through your body, and it's going to generate more pop, and it's going to go farther. The trick is releasing it on the right line, and when I do it, I tend to end up really nose up. So I end up not going any farther because I'm going high in the air. But if I do it right, it will go farther than I normally can throw, but I have zero idea what direction it's going. No idea. So there is some use to it, but even Simon, who's good at it, only breaks it out every once in a while on a wide open hole. Now, if you're at like a distance showcase and the whole point is go really, really far and you've got multiple attempts,
try everything.
By all means, go for it.
I just have 2 other questions.
All right, so those are going to be our giveaways then, if you only have 2.
I have, well, we have another one that popped in too. So here's what
However you want to do it. We just got to give stuff away.
Yep, we're going to give away the next disc for this next question, which is great. So the Ballista Pro, and it's going to be
A first run Ballista Pro.
for Seth Ziegler?
Probably Ziegler.
What disc can you throw at backhand the longest distance, and what is a good max distance?
That's a loaded question.
Touring pros are averaging 400, if not 500, all the time.
The top level touring pros who you see on a consistent basis can throw, like the guys you see on lead cards are throwing at least 500 with their max distance drives. Simon and Eagle and probably even Paul and a couple of those other, and Garrett Gerthy, those kind of guys can all hit 7 when they need to. But again, even those guys when they're pumping that hard aren't as accurate. I think Paul was quoted last year as saying like the farthest distance he thinks he could the farthest open hole he thinks he could park with a hyzer is 500 feet. So he thinks he can throw a hyzer to 500 feet consistently and accurately. So that's the best player in the world, what he thinks he can do. For your local scene, anywhere around 450 to 500 is probably going to be what you're going to see in top places.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of what you need to be competitive locally. I'd say like the advanced field, you're going to have those guys who can throw 450, 500 who aren't as consistent accuracy-wise or putting-wise. But to compete in the advanced field, you really need about 350, I would say. And then the farther you go down in the recreational fields, the less power you really need to compete. But yeah, I'd say if you're over 350, you're doing okay.
Yeah.
You can compete in most places.
100%.
So Steve, what is the disc that you throw the farthest, and roughly how far do you think you throw it?
The disc I go to for my power shots are my strikes, my star strikes, and those I'm trying to get out to at least 430.
Yeah, I'm right about the same place. If I'm throwing max distance, I'm throwing a Shrike, and it's my Pop Top 167 gram dismember one, and that thing bombs. The farthest I've recorded on UDisc with it is 440, but I'm looking for 420 at least every time I'm pulling that out of the bag.
I got 3 questions, 3 different people. Why don't you pick the winner? 1, 2, or 3?
Number 3.
Number 3?
Yeah,
number 3?
It's from Shrek.
Okay. Number 3 is the winner.
Is the winner, and that would be...
We'll get there. Ask the questions in order.
What is your favorite Lat 64 disc, and why?
Ooh. Do I bag any right now? I don't think I have any Latitude in my bag right now. The original Opto Tridents are probably my favorite. There's not a whole lot of discs that are like them. They're like a slow Firebird. They're kind of Justice-y, but with a wide rim. They just do lots of fun things, and they don't make them anymore. And the gold and the retro ones that came out last year are just not beefy enough. They're more like a T-Bird than they are the Justice beefiness that I was looking for. Those are probably my favorites, but I also like my Ballistas. Those were fun.
I like the Anchor, and I liked
I hated the Anchor.
I like the Anchor, and I liked
The Explorer? Is that what you're looking for?
oh yeah, geez.
I like the Explorer a lot too. If I wasn't pretty solid on my straight mid-ranges, I might think about those. I put the Mavericks we're going to do here in a week or two, I put those in the bag, and I could easily go Maverick Explorer and just be covered for
a lot of shots.
Maverick Explorer Felon and be covered for fairways.
Yep.
All right, question 2 of the last 3 that you were going to ask.
Oh yeah. So, is a lightweight disc make for a good flip disc or thumber?
That is all going to depend on power level. I generally I throw most everything in my bag is max weight, just because it gives me a little more reliability in the wind, and I have enough power to get things up to speed. But if you're a lower speed player who doesn't have a lot of power on your flick, lighter discs will help you get more distance and a little bit better flex out of it. Just kind of depends on where you are at arm speed wise. Anything to add to that?
It's think about like going bowling. You grab an 8-pound ball, super easy. You grab the 15-pound ball, you're like, so it's all about what you can handle versus what you need.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
What is the third?
Question 3, that's
Question
going to be
three.
the winner of the Dismember Flex Trimmer.
Josh Wagner wants to know how many discs could you chuck if a disc could chuck a disc a chuck. That isn't so much a question as a great comment.
All of them. I could
All
chuck
of them.
all of them.
Yes. So there's your winner, Josh Wagner. It's that great question. We did have a couple others trickling in.
Yep, and I'll go back and answer a lot of those, but we want to get out of here before we keep you too long. But if you were still hanging around, throw some comments in. We are filming the next set of discs. The next 4 we're going to do is the Dynamic Disc Maverick, the Prodigy H3 V2, the Axiom Tantrum, and then the Innova Rat. So those are the next 4 that we're working on. Then after that, we've got a whole bunch more stuff. The Sting, the Vulture, the H5, the H1 V2, the Captain, and there's some other things in there that I'm forgetting about. But those are the next 4 that we're doing, so let us know which of those you want to see first, and we'll try to make sure to make that happen for you. Yeah, anything else we want to add to that, Steve?
The winners of the
Yeah. Steve, why don't you run us by the winners
The
again?
first one.
All right, so with the farthest throw accurate guess without going over was Stephen White. Then Seth Ziegler got the Ballista Pro because he had a good question. And Josh Wagner cracked us up, so he gets the trimmer.
Cool.
All right, so I'll go back and answer more of your questions, and we'll be back next week with another review, and thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.